Welcome back to Steelers Talk. I'm your host, Jack Sperry, and today I've got the latest Steelers news, namely some injury updates that Mike Tomlin gave from the podium earlier today in preparation for Thursday Night Football. And then the All-22 of Steelers versus Ravens was released today, so I had the opportunity to watch some of that today, and I have some takeaways after watching the All-22 from yesterday's win. Before we get into the content today, go ahead and give me a follow on X if you haven't already. You guys can find me at Jack_Sperry. I put out daily Steelers and general NFL content on there every single day. And then also tonight, I'm going to be breaking down my film analysis of Steelers versus Ravens. I'm going to be cutting up a bunch of film, putting out my favorite clips from that Week 11 win versus those dreaded Ratbirds. So if you guys want to learn more about what happened on Sunday and why the Steelers were able to become victorious, make sure you click that follow button on X at Jack_Sperry. And we also started a brand new Instagram account here for our Steelers Talk, short form content here. So if you guys want more content from us here at Steelers Talk on IG, you guys can see us at Steelers CS. Okay, let's get into the content here today. First up, the latest Steelers injury updates. And we had a little bit of a scare yesterday with Keeanu Benton. We'll get to him in just a second. But first up here, the biggest name, Alex Highsmith. We kind of expected this. He's going to be out this week yet again. Mike Tomlin used the phrase he's more out than in heading into the week. So maybe, next week he could potentially get it going in Week 13 against the Bengals. We'll see on that with the mini bye coming up, but it's definitely looking doubtful that Alex is going to be out there on the field in Cleveland on Thursday. But then Keeanu Benton, his injury was quoted as a non-issue by head coach Mike Tomlin today, so we do expect him to be on the field on Thursday night, which is a huge sigh of relief after he left yesterday's game with an apparent injury. He did not come back in the game, but according to Mike Tomlin, it's a non-issue, and he's going to be ready to go for Thursday. And then last week, we talked about Cory Trice Jr. potentially being added to the lineup for last week's game against the Baltimore Ravens. That ended up not happening, but according to Mike Tomlin, he is somebody that's slated to potentially make a return this week against the Cleveland Browns on Thursday, and he was listed as a full participant on the practice report today. The Steelers did not practice today, but the NFL forces these teams on Thursday to put out a practice report on Monday, and he was listed as a full participant today. I'd expect him to be a full participant when this team practices in full tomorrow. So now, let's get to the film takeaways because the All-22 came out earlier today after I put out my first video this morning. You guys can check out that earlier video that I put out earlier today. I put the link to that in the comments and description of today's show. But after watching the All-22, I have some more takeaways, specifically when it comes to the passing game. There was definitely some issues with the passing game this week. And, I think it's easy to put it all on the quarterback in Russell Wilson. The 23 of 36 completion percentage is certainly not fantastic, especially when you're passing it 36 times. You're only getting 205 passing yards, had no touchdowns on the day, and an interception, and a red zone interception at that. So I can see why people are like, this is the worst game Russ has played in a Steelers uniform to this point, and they have definitely a decent argument for that, okay? But I also think that when you turn on the film and you really break it down in terms of what Russ has in terms of his options on every single play, I think he was far from remarkable. He didn't really elevate the offense all that much in certain spots, but he was also far from abysmal. I think there was other issues with the passing game on Sunday that go beyond just the quarterback in Russell Wilson. First thing I took issue with was some of the passing play concepts that Arthur Smith was dialing up. A lot of very simple concepts, sometimes some mirrored concepts that just weren't working and didn't give Russell Wilson a whole lot of options. Also, Van Jefferson and Calvin Austin weren't getting open as much as you would want them to be, especially Calvin Austin III. So really it was George Pickens, and that was really about it in terms of the options that Russell Wilson had at his disposal from a consistency basis here. And now I want to shift over to a play, and it's the red zone interception here, thrown to Darnell Washington. So you guys can see right here on the little blip, that's the football, okay? There's Darnell Washington. Could Darnell have jumped at least put his arms up, jumped up a little bit to deflected this pass? I think it's certainly possible. He's kind of caught flat-footed, and I think that Darnell played this football really terribly, honestly, and then, of course, it goes right into the hands of the Ravens defender. And, when I look at what Russ was looking at here, guys, this is the All-22 angle when he decides to throw the football. There's Darnell Washington. He is posting up a smaller defender, and Russ is trying to throw it over here in the back, all right? this looks like a throw that could potentially work. So when I look at Russell Wilson and making that decision to throw this football, throwing it up in the air to allow the big body Darnell Washington to post up his defender and go down with the catch, I understand why Russell Wilson threw it. Did he throw it maybe a little bit too high and a little bit too long? Yes, but also I think Darnell Washington's play on the football was absolutely atrocious. And yes, look, Darnell is looking right at Russell Wilson, so he knows he's getting the football. It's not like Russ threw it and he wasn't looking at him or anything like that. So I actually understand why Russ threw the football. It just was an unfortunate play on the football from Darnell Washington, and it ended up being an interception. And then when asked about this play today, Mike Tomlin said that he wishes Russ didn't throw the football. Now, this might be in reference to the result. Like, of course he wishes he didn't throw it because it ended up being an interception. But I also think that there was definitely an opportunity for a touchdown there. And if Darnell Washington comes down with that touchdown, we're talking about what a throw and what a decision, what a play Russell Wilson made with that play. It just comes down to the tight end ended up making the play, and he didn't, and it fell right into the arms of the Ravens defender. So let me know down there in the comments section, who do you guys blame for that red zone interception? At the end of the day, the Steelers won. It doesn't really matter, but let me know what you guys think down there in the comments section. Who do you blame more? Type RW for Russell Wilson or DW for Darnell Washington. This will be the pinned comment on today's show, so YouTube's going to throw an ad break here in just a couple of seconds. And when that happens, take advantage of that time by let me know who you blame for the INT. Now, when it comes to the passing game for the Steelers, it was certainly disappointing that they didn't get into the end zone, but it certainly wasn't all bad for Russell Wilson and this unit on Sunday. I thought they did have some good things that they had going for them in the passing game. Number one, Russ and George Pickens were definitely cooking. They were on the same page. Pickens ended up with 8 catches. They really did a good job with like this anticipation hitch route on the outside that they hit multiple times, sometimes in a row. And then, of course, they connected on that moon ball down the sideline, getting them into the red zone. I believe it was in the third quarter. Then you also got the ball to the running backs in space, both Najee Harrison on a screen, then Jaylen Warren multiple times in space to pick up first down. So I thought that the use of the running backs as checkdowns, Russ did a pretty decent job getting the ball to those guys. And then in the second half, he had 2 seam chunks to Darnell Washington against, I believe it was cover 2 looks. They spreaded it out, and I think it was the same play, just mirrored, turned around. And Russ hit Darnell Washington over the middle twice for huge gains. In drives that were really, really important for the Pittsburgh Steelers there in the second half. So even though Darnell Washington didn't make a great play on the football on that INT, in my opinion, he definitely made an impact of some sort there by getting those 2 big chunks over the middle of the field. Speaking of the Steelers passing attack here, I would say don't expect more out of Mike Williams this week. He played a pretty decent amount. He had an increased snap share this week against the Baltimore Ravens, but it wasn't a big increase. It was just 33.7% of the offensive snaps where Mike Williams was on the field, so that is less than 50%, and Van Jefferson definitely outsnapped Mike Williams in this one, so it certainly seems like he's still getting acclimated to the Steelers playbook a little bit, and because it is a short week and there's going to be less time to implement new stuff into Mike Williams' brain when it comes to this playbook here with the Pittsburgh Steelers, I would just expect him to probably be at the same level as where he was against the Ravens, and I'd expect him to be on the field anywhere between 30 and 35% of the offensive snaps on Thursday night. So coming up here on Steelers Talk, 3 more takeaways I'm taking away from the All-22 film that I watched earlier today. But before we get into those takeaways, let's have a word from our sponsor here at Public Rec. And let's be real, guys. Wearing nice pants sucks. Who decided that stiff, uncomfortable fabric digging into your family jewels was necessary to go out and look put together? Well, I'm here to tell you that those days are finally over. Public Rec has developed the revolutionary Daymaker pants that feels as comfortable as sweats but looks and fits like tailored pants. They're super stretchy and made with an elastic waistband, but you can wear them absolutely anywhere. Wear them lounging around the house, eating Cheetos, or football Sundays with the boys, and also for that holiday movie marathon. You guys can even wear them on the first date, and no one will know you're wearing sweats. You can finally have indoor comfort with outdoor style by wearing Public Rec's Daymaker pants. For a limited time only, our listeners get 20% off their entire order when you use code CHAT at publicrec.com. That's 20% off your order when you at publicrec.com with promo code chat. And guys, what I love about Public Rec, two things. Number one, it's not just pants, all right? I'm wearing one of their shirts right now. It's super breathable. I wear them to work all the time. You guys probably see me wearing them on a bunch of different shows here because I love these shirts. They're so versatile. This is black, but I wore this during the summer a bunch because it is so breathable, so soft. And then when it comes to the pants, guys, what's the big deal breaker for me and what really was the game changer for me was their tailored options, all right? I'm tall and skinny, so it's very hard for me to find pants off the rack that actually fit my size, but with Public Rec, I can look really, really good in these pants. It fits my body perfectly because I can tailor the sizing to exactly what I need. Stop the suffering in regular pants today because for a limited time only, our listeners get 20% off when you use code CHAT at checkout. That's 20% off when you use code CHAT20 at publicrec.com. After your purchase, they'll ask you where you heard about them. Please support our show and tell them that we sent you. Say goodbye to pants that put up a fight because when comfort meets style, you've found Public Rec. Again, that is code CHAT20 at publicrec.com/chat20 for 20% off. All right, so another takeaway that I have is that the Steelers should play Justin Fields more. And this is something that I have said and I've advocated for ever since they turned to Russell Wilson as the starting quarterback. Because I think that Russ is certainly more efficient as a passer. He's seeing open receivers more often than Justin Fields was. But there's certainly instances where the defense knows that the Steelers are going to probably be running the football, that it would benefit the Steelers to have another rushing threat out there. Things like short yardage, 3rd and 4th and 1 or 2. Also, the low red zone. I mean, we've seen here over the last several weeks here that the Steelers' red zone offense is the worst in the National Football League right now, and they've gone 0 in the red zone twice in 4 games with Russell Wilson. 0 for 4 twice. All right, that is unacceptable, and maybe getting Justin Fields out there in the low red zone can help you out with that. And then as we saw yesterday, the 4-minute drill, it's the perfect time to have Justin Fields out there. The defense knows you're running it. They know that you want to run down clock, and why not have them account for another dynamic rushing threat in Justin Fields? And as we saw yesterday in the win against the Ravens, if they crash in on the running back, he can just pull the football and he can pick up first downs to win the game for the Pittsburgh Steelers. So this is a very valuable rusher and a threat at the quarterback position that the Steelers have on their roster. And I think it would be a mistake to not utilize his skill set as a rusher in these types of situations. Then number 4, Dan Moore Jr. has had a really good season this year. Okay, he really has, but he struggled yesterday against the Baltimore Ravens. So did Broderick Jones. We talked about Broderick Jones in the AM video here, but I wanted to highlight Dan Moore Jr. as well because he didn't have a good game either, in my opinion. He allowed 2 sacks, and he had one of his lowest Pro Football Focus grades of the season with a 54.5. So Dan Moore Jr. is somebody that has had a very good season this year, in my opinion, or at least where compared to what it was in previous seasons. I think he's going to get paid a lot of money by some NFL team. Could be the Steelers, could be somebody else this offseason because teams are always looking for quality left tackle players, to fill out their roster. So maybe the Steelers bring back, maybe they don't, but it was certainly an off night, in my opinion, for Dan Moore Jr. Yesterday against the Ravens. And then my final takeaway is when I was surprised about how well Ben Skoranek looked as a blocker in particular. He did have a catch as well as kind of like a check down option, but when Skoranek was in there, man, he gives 100% effort, and he plays with excellent technique at his size. When it comes to Arthur Smith, and we've talked about on this show for months, ever since they hired Arthur Smith, how much he loves bigger guys that can run block, especially on early downs, and that's why he saw Skoranek on the field so much yesterday, was because this guy is a freaking beast. Getting in there, moving people off the spot, clearing up rushing lanes for Najee Harris and Jaylen Warren. I absolutely loved watching this guy on film. Plus, he's one of the best special teamers in the National Football League, and he's helping the special teams unit out as well. So I love the pickup of Ben Skoranek. I can't believe, I believe it was the Houston Texans let him go earlier this year. And I think that he's become a really valuable piece to this Steelers offense and special teams units, respectively. I'm glad he's a Pittsburgh Steeler. All right, before we wrap things up here, we have our weekly Tomlinism of the week, and he was talking about preparing to play on Thursday Night Football, and he said this week we're going to be trying to fit 8 pounds into a 5-pound bag, and that's just the perfect Mike Tomlin saying right there, because obviously you're trying to pack in a bunch of stuff in just a couple days before you end up traveling to Cleveland here on Thursday Night Football. So you love the Tomlinism of the week this week. Grade it for me, A, B, C, D, or F down there in the comments section. All right, that'll be it for today's News and Rumors segment here on Steelers Talk. Tomorrow, I'm going to be putting out our preview for Steelers versus Browns on Thursday Night Football, so don't miss it. Make sure you click that subscribe button right now. And until next time, guys, here we go, Steelers.